Morning, everybody. Welcome to Lockpod, Season 10, Episode 10, on October 10th.
Whoa.
That is some weird shit.
10-10-10-10.
10-10.
Lockpod's like in...
On 10-10.
It's like a numerology
that is weird,
salad
man.
or something.
That is weird because there's not really a rhyme or reason to our seasons and episode numbers.
No.
It just sort of worked out. Like, wouldn't that be cool if, like, 4 years ago we planned it out?
Season 10, Episode 10 will have to be on October 10th,
This is
everyone.
going to be our ultimate episode.
Wouldn't that be funny if... See, the irony is we didn't plan it.
No, we should have said that.
No, I think
From
it's crazy.
Season 1, Episode 1, we were earmarking October 10th.
I feel like this happened before. Not to this extent. Like maybe like August 8th was Season 8, Episode 8.
9-9 on 1999?
I don't know. 9-9, Episode 9-9 on September 9th.
There was no podcast in 1999.
No, it wasn't last season. I know it wasn't that recent.
But it was some other season
I do recall like us putting like a little doodad like John's doing right now, having fun.
I was up all night creating this CGI. Look at now I have it moving around the screen.
You know, you are.
It's some pretty.
If someone hasn't told you you're the producer of the year,
thank you.
I just want to let you know that you are.
Am I going to get a podcast? What's that award?
We're going to give you the life-size Snoop Dogg.
Streaming.
Yeah, would you please take that home? And we got a nice cooler for you.
That is a nice cooler.
Yeah.
All right.
Who are we sponsored
This
by
episode today is brought to you by Rogers Roofing. When you demand nothing but the best for your home and family, trust the industry leader, Rogers Roofing. For over 54 years, they've been transforming homes in Northwest Indiana and Chicagoland. Visit their website at rogersroofing.com or call 219-933-9145 to schedule a free consultation.
All right, so off we go on Season 10, Episode 10 on 10-10.
Yeah, we got a special guest coming in, third segment, Pete Novak of Ganayar.
The executive director of Ganayar, Greater Northwest
You're
Indiana
like,
Association of Realtors.
They've changed their names.
They did?
Yeah, we're going to have to talk about that.
They're no Ganayar anymore?
No, they're not Ganayar.
I hope it's
shortened. I said Ganayar. Well, Ganayar, let's face it, you can't start any organization name off with a G. Like, you're
tough.
Screwed.
Well, and GN usually is like Nat. It's supposed to be a silent
Nayar. It's supposed
G.
to be Nayar.
Good point.
We're going to have to bring this up. That's probably why they changed their name.
You're right, because people were calling him Nayar.
I called him Ganayar.
I did too.
Yeah. But
so
we'll ask him about that. But that's not the reason for him being here.
Do you say realtors or realtors?
Realtors. That's what I say.
I wonder what the pronunciation.
It's realtors, but
realtors.
Realtors.
Realtors, I do
but
too.
Midwestern mushmouth, we
right.
like to smush our cousins.
You say pop too, probably.
I like saying pop.
I say soda because I was raised by Marissa.
Oh.
She says soda.
What? She definitely says soda from New York. Oh yeah. When I went to school in Philly, East Coast is all soda. You say pop, they look at you like you're, homeless.
I say Coke. I say Coke for everything. Give me a Coke. Pepsi okay? Yes.
That must be. I wonder if that's a California thing.
I don't know. It's just a Tom thing, I think.
Welcome back, Kevin.
Thank you.
Yeah. Like what a weekend Kevin had.
Mm-hmm. Traverse the world.
Yeah. So I had to move Ethan into his place in Tampa, and I drove solo down to Tampa on Friday, although I stopped in Valdosta, Georgia. Whoa, that's an interesting place. Nice place, but also I would say this about, I always thought La Quinta is like a motel. Like, they've upped their game. It's more like a Hampton now, so La Quinta, I stayed at La Quinta. Yeah.
La Quinta, where we live, sucks.
Yeah, it got fancy.
That's where truckers take hookers.
Right, Super 8.
In the region.
It's like on the same levels of Motel 6.
Yeah.
There's homeless people that said, fuck that. I'm not staying at La Quinta. Where we live.
And I will tell you.
I'd rather sleep in the alley.
Okay.
Right?
Exactly my thought about La Quinta. Like, they have upped their game.
La
it's
Quinta
like nice.
They're not going to sponsor Lockpod.
Kevin was like, I need to sleep somewhere.
Damn. It was the only place available.
I hope there's no bed bugs here.
So I made it.
I was at a Hampton Inn a couple weeks ago. And I was worried about bed bugs.
Really? I always think Hampton's
I don't know
nice.
why. I got into the bed because it was super late, and I got in. It was like late, and I got into the bed, and I didn't like turn on lights or anything in the room. I just got in and went right to bed.
That bed could have been bloodstained.
Dude, I was laying there like. I felt like little things crawling. It
Whoa.
It was my head.
It was in your head. It was
I got out of the bed, turned the lights on because I was like, dude, I didn't even check this room at all. There could be like bugs crawling all over me. And I freaked myself out. I got out of bed.
At the La Quinta, I did one of those things. I was so tired from driving like 14 and a half hours. It was one of those things where you wake up in the morning and the bed's barely, like the sheet, everything's in the...
I always feel like I wasted my money. I like
what do you want?
Stuff up.
I want to mess this bed up.
Take a huge crap and turn on the shower for like half hour.
I didn't even stay for the free breakfast. I went to Waffle House because when do you get to go to Waffle House unless
wow.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And then I hit the road, got to Tampa.
Don't you like doing that?
Yeah.
So like you were in like a truck stop. Like when I was when I'm in California though, I like to go into just like random deli dining.
Check it out, right?
Dude, I went to this place in California. It was like up by Clear Lake. like I don't know one person there, and I like went to this random like hometown deli.
Yeah, it was
A
awesome.
diner.
Yeah.
I just sat there. It was really good food, but I just sat there for like an hour and just like watched people. And I was trying to figure out.
It's like you feel like you're
I know
an
that type of
interloper.
person.
You know,
Yeah,
like,
dude,
like,
totally.
you're just kind of like, let me check this.
Nobody
place
knew
out.
me, and I was just like staring at everybody, listening to their conversations. I'm like getting into their lives. I'm like, oh, that must be like the local popular person, and that's like, oh, there's a local wino, and you know they're all like,
I can identify you as the local wino.
you don't see the winos anymore.
No.
They're all drug addicts now.
Yeah, now
What
it's
happened to a good old fashioned
The
wino?
local opiate user.
There you
Right?
go.
But like, now they're all leaning, like lean. I got the lean. Like, what happened to good old wino?
Just like a guy from what was the guy's name in Andy Griffith that would lock himself in the?
Yeah, everybody liked the wino.
Sure.
Nobody likes the freaking.
No one likes
crackhead.
the meth head.
Nobody likes the meth head or the dudes that lean. What is that? What is that? Lindsay knows all the drugs.
Probably an opiate.
Yeah.
With that one where they do it and they lean over, they can't even like.
Oh, I
Fentanyl?
remember when Grandma came into
It's-
town, she was telling us.
Yeah,
about
it's like
that.
Grandma
trank.
was
Is
leaning?
it trank?
Yeah, trank.
Oh,
That's what
trank.
It was. It's a tranquilizer.
Who the hell
yeah.
takes
Who
that?
the hell knows? Horse tranquilizer, maybe.
You're so. Let me get this straight. When you take it,
Probably cheaper.
you're so effed up, you can't even lay on the ground. You
well,
just
no,
sort
like
of
your
lean.
muscles all lock up, and then
But
you
your
can't
legs
lay
out.
Sounds
down,
like a
yeah.
blast. I
Dude,
mean, who
dude,
does that?
that's-
It's
Kept people
weird.
in California.
And you're just like
So-
hovering.
I leave
Yeah.
Valdosta, get to Tampa, spend a great day in Tampa, moving Ethan in. We get, it's one of
Kevin's
those
like, "This is my bit,
putting
damn it."
together everything. Well, I was just getting back so we didn't forget, and then
Putting together
putting
everything.
together like some
IKEA?
things, some IKEA things.
You
but
put his
Whoa.
stuff together?
some of it, yeah.
Hey.
Jana, actually,
The
Jana and
first
Ethan
year
did the
Marissa
most.
took me to Bloomington was like, okay, see you later, bye.
I put the TV stand up on the wall, like the what do you call it, the holder, or I don't know what you call
Yeah.
it, the arm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was my big job. But anyway,
Wow.
so Sunday morning, so 24-hour
Yeah,
turnaround.
TV.
I'm back on the road, and let me tell you something about something I discovered down there, and I didn't know anything about this. Buc-ee's. Has anyone heard of? Buc-ee's. Have you heard of
freaking
this?
Love
It's a
what
gas
is
station.
Buc-ee's.
It is like a gas station on steroids. First of all, I'm like, okay, I need gas. And by the way, Tom, you know this about me. I'm not like screwing around. I'm going to get gas. I'm going back on the road.
He's paying
This is
with
a very
his
true
card.
statement.
He's not even going into the building.
It's just like, let's
If
go.
Kevin has to pee a little bit, he won't even pee.
I
He's so
held it
locked
all the
in.
way to
He's
Nashville.
so locked in.
So I
I
get
have to
off
pee
here.
a little bit. I gotta go.
I get off at this exit. It's like a tourist attraction.
Where is this?
Some
Buc-ee's.
northern,
But like, there's
south of Atlanta,
It's
north
a southern
of
like gas station.
the
store.
Florida Georgia line. Okay. And I get off. There's like 25 cars literally backed up on the
Oh,
exit
my.
ramp.
This looks like a
Yeah,
supermarket.
It is. It's crazy. That's the line of cars
What's
to get
the
out.
draw? Like, who
I
gives a
don't
shit?
know, and it is a
Is
big
it like cheaper
deal.
gas or something?
Look at the line to get out. It took me 25
Fuck
minutes
that.
in traffic.
I'd run out of gas before I went
It
in
was
that
like
line.
you were in downtown Chicago. It was terrible.
What is this?
It is crazy. It is like
Okay.
a tourist attraction.
What's
And then I did like a region Chicago move. People were beeping at me because I was like, "Get me the hell out of here!" Instead of going in the left turn lane, I went in the straight and right and took a left.
Good for you. It's like
And
what we did in
I was
California.
getting the horns were
All
laying
the
on
Like-
me.
southern guys.
So
Oh
Lindsay's,
yeah.
In California, Kevin, when he was real stressed out, I asked him to go to the right past this huge traffic jam.
On the
Oh,
Oakland
yeah.
Bridge.
And we ended up in the bus lane only. We went through
I
it.
did not like that.
I know.
I
Kevin
was
was
stressed out.
Saves so much time.
So this is
Like an
Buc-ee's,
hour.
dude. It is
Yeah.
crazy.
I've always wanted to go.
And you
You
can
can
go.
play-
Just plan an hour.
You could play dumb tourist though. You could be like, "Oh, I'm from
Well,
Indiana.
like,
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Bus. I don't even know what a bus is." And then
Just
you
like-
show them
it's
the
like
Indiana
a-
driver's license. They're like, "I bet you this guy has no idea what a bus is."
There was over 100 gas pumps there. And by the way, no trucks allowed.
We're like on two separate conversations.
Yeah.
Well, no,
I'm still on the bus lane in
Oh,
California.
I'm sorry. Bus lane.
So hold it. So what was it like on the inside?
It was. I just went to the gas station and I left. I didn't even go in. I couldn't. I
You
was
have
like, forget
to.
this.
So wait a second.
It's a cultural experience.
I couldn't do it.
What?
I had to leave.
Don't you have to go to the bathroom when you stop?
I held it
See
until
what I'm saying? I just guessed.
Where did
I
you
held
go?
it till like north of Nashville.
From you
How
left
many hours?
here.
How many hours? From
I
there
probably
to-
held it for 7, 8.
more hours.
No. From here, probably another 5.
What the fuck
What?
is the matter with you, dude? Go to the bathroom.
No, I
you
did.
got,
I did.
There's a
In-
million people here. Go see. You can't even tell us what
In
happened
between
there.
Chattanooga and Nashville, I stopped.
So we did
I
a
was
huge-
so stressed about
We did a
this.
huge bit on Lockpot for this, and you can't even walk in there.
I wanted to go get a Buc-ee's T-shirt. That was my goal, and I was like, I can't do this. This is a
You
30
should have
minute.
used the Lockpot credit card for a buck.
Kevin, this
I-
was supposed to be a 30-minute segment.
Sorry.
dude. And now we can't.
I'm
not
sure
to
everybody
talk
on
about it.
chat will tell me what. And the other weird thing I saw in northern Georgia, like not quite the size of the data center flag, but really large just Confederate flags
Really?
flying.
That's how Texas is.
It was
with
really weird.
With Texas flags.
Right. This was not the Georgia State flag. This
Right.
was a stars and bars Confederate flag
Right.
flying on
Right.
somebody's land.
Yeah, that sucks.
Not like a
Oh
small
my
one.
gosh.
Big.
That sucks.
We
was
just got
weird.
news in
Breaking
the
news.
chat that
Oh.
they're building a Buc-ee's outside of Fair Oaks.
That cannot be
What?
true. Is that true?
Oh hell yeah!
That might be the furthest north.
Hell
Buc-ee's.
yeah!
That is a super southern
Dude,
store.
I'm going there for
That's-
all my gas
I'm gonna
stops. I'm
Google
driving
that.
from Hammond to freaking
Oh,
Fair Oaks Farm.
boy.
You know
Hang
what?
out in buggies. I'll get the shirt.
I want to get a hoodie that has the Buc-ee. Yeah.
I was gonna get a Buc-ee's T-shirt. I couldn't even do it.
That was my southern accent. Did you like
I
it?
liked
that
it.
was a
Yeah.
very poor
I liked
southern
it.
accent, father.
I just wanted
Because
to
I'm a northerner.
recap here. So you needed gas and you need to use the restroom. You went here.
I didn't
and
need
was
to use
like,
the I didn't need to use the restroom. at
Who
that point.
doesn't need to
Okay.
use the restroom on a road trip?
I was fine. I was like,
Aren't
I can
you
hold
drinking
it.
coffee or something?
I was.
But
Yeah.
instead of just going across the street, you're
I
like,
can't even
let me
get through
drive
the
another
show.
5 hours.
Yeah, I just kind of kept going at that point because I was on a mission. I needed to get. I didn't want to get to Bloomington, which was my stop, too late. It was like 11:30ish, and that was 14 hours straight by myself. I was like, all right.
What'd you do, Linz?
This weekend?
Yeah. No, like 1942. Like, what do you think I'm talking about?
Well, you guys have never asked me what I
Look
did
at her
over the
purse.
weekend
Well,
before.
it's in the notes.
Where's the Lindsay
Can you
cam?
show this purse? This thing is sweet.
Mm.
That's
we went,
awesome.
we decorated our house for Halloween.
Oh, yeah?
And I had a fever on Saturday, so
Like a
What?
fever, as in like
Like
a
disco
actual
fever?
fever.
Slightly-
Yeah, that's
yeah.
what I thought, John. I
got
was
it.
like, what kind
slightly
of fever is
elevated
this?
temperature on Saturday. I've been the change of the seasons, man. It always gets me. So
What does that have to
Yeah.
do with your weird purse?
we were decorating for Halloween, and I had a fever. You asked me what I did on the
Thanks,
weekend,
Dad.
Father.
Okay. I thought that had something to do with the purse. I was like
No.
trying to figure it out.
And I got
Oh,
a
so you
fever.
had a fever. Okay, that was the answer to the question. Thanks.
The original question you asked.
Yes.
Yep.
You threw me off with that weird purse.
It's not a
great.
weird purse. It's cute.
Okay. All right. Jay Vez, what
I
about you?
love the dad-daughter
I,
dynamic in this room.
Trying to identify a leak in my hot tub. So that
Ooh.
wasn't a great weekend.
You have a hot tub
Yeah.
in the backyard?
Yes.
John,
no,
do
in
you
the
use-
front yard.
That would be awesome, John. Now that would be great.
Is that allowed in Hammond? Is there an ordinance
No,
against
no.
Nobody wants to
And
see
just
that.
in general, nobody wants to see that. That should be outlawed. Just in general.
How to piss off your neighbors.
That's funny.
Jay Vez in his
In the front
thong. In the
No,
front
I
yard.
don't wear anything in my hot tub, man.
Oh,
Really?
damn. Well, let me
Is
ask you
that
this.
allowed in Hammond?
Is
Probably.
it fenced in?
I swim in the backyard
is.
at nighttime.
Yeah, it's fenced in.
Same thing.
It's your place.
I have
Yeah.
a privacy fence too.
Is it, John, do you use your hot tub more in the summer or winter?
Winter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's too hot in the summer, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so nice in the winter too.
Oh,
You
yeah.
just
Oh
gotta
my
run
gosh.
out there, and then you're like
Beautiful.
extra warm.
Who
so
knew
you
what kind of
shivers
winter
back.
wonderland you were experiencing in Hammond? Like, it's not like
Right?
you think of it like in the mountains, right? Like a ski lodge, and just
It's no Buc-ee's, but, it works.
who knows? I didn't get to go in.
Yeah.
Apparently, the bathrooms are like incredible there.
Oh,
Wait,
now you
Buc-ee's?
tell me.
Jesus.
No, in my backyard.
Yeah.
What'd
In
you do,
front
Tom?
yard.
Shut down the entire
Oh.
summer mode. I
Oh.
shut down
It's over.
both Mustangs. I shut down the pool.
You're declaring it over?
I took all the furniture from the backyard and moved it away into storage.
That's early.
Yeah,
No,
that
it's
is.
Wow.
Furniture, I think, is a little early, Kevin. I agree.
For the backyard?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I
I usually do it-
I don't-
yeah, I
'cause
usually wait
it's
till
the pool
November.
stuff. It's the pool stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, it's the pool stuff, and like, we're not going to have. God dang, it was 41 degrees when I woke up this morning. We're not having stuff in the
So
backyard.
nice.
What about you don't have
It's
a
over.
fire pit with furniture out there? Or
No,
anything?
yeah, I have a couple
Okay.
things out
Thomas
there. but
declared
nothing,
it's summer
like,
over.
We have like pool, like furniture,
Gotcha.
and that's the stuff I put away.
Was it a sad day where you're like,
Yeah, I hate that day.
yeah.
But even like in April when I pull everything out and I start at the Mustang,
It's a happy
always
day.
like, it's awesome, right? Even though it still sucks out and the weather's just as. Actually, the weather in April is worse than the weather it is right now.
So 6 months.
Right.
6 months from now.
I do it that
That-
way.
All right.
66.
Wow.
And my insurance is set up that way too. So one time I have insurance with all my cars on it, and then the rest of the year I have cheaper insurance. So
Yeah, like just
but
like
yeah.
fire insurance or whatever. That
Oh, you
is.
know what else I did?
Theft.
Changed out my seasonal clothing. Look at that.
You're into the fall wear.
I got all the polos, put it away. Look at. I
He's
got
got a
sweater
box
on.
of all of his hats.
The long
for when
sleeves
he
are out.
shaves His head.
I got everything out. Yeah, all the work clothes. I got it, everything. I got all my golf stuff and everything I put away. And
Gone.
man, it
Now
is
you're into
that
long
time
sleeves.
of year, man.
Man.
Yeah. Oh, and I watched Notre Dame lose,
No, that was terrible.
and they
I
made
turned
my
it
season
off.
tickets worthless for the rest of the season.
That's
like
no fun.
honestly, not that Marissa and I sell tickets. We don't usually. In fact, we were tempted for the Ohio State game.
What did they go to?
They went to. They were $700. Like we could have sold our tickets for 700 times 4.
Wow.
We had
Wow.
4 seats, but I took one of my old Navy friends to the game. So, and a donor to my campaign, by the way. But we took him and his wife to the game, and we had a great time. But we could have made $3,000 that day selling our tickets, right? So I always had it in the back of my mind.
Awesome.
If Notre Dame keeps playing well, we have a night game against USC, and we could have flipped those if we wanted to, right? And I was like, okay, we can make $3,000-ish if Notre Dame keeps playing well. Well, Notre Dame lost to Louisville this weekend, and they got spanked by Louisville this weekend. And I checked the tickets last night, $200 each.
Whoa.
Less than face value.
Whoa.
The face value on that game is over probably $250 at least.
Man, you would think a USC fan might want to grab them.
They probably will.
Yeah.
Freaking suck.
That was so depressing.
I'm done with Marcus Freeman. Marcus Freeman sucks, and his cliches are getting old. Like, I'm just saying it right here, and I know he listens. Marcus, I hate your cliches. You're one day at a time bullshit.
How do you know he watches?
He watches. He watches.
He's a
so
listener.
this is America's podcast, Lindsay. Didn't you know that?
Man, the Midwest's most dangerous podcast.
He lives
in the Midwest,
and he is an American.
And so does Louisville.
Marcus, you totally underprepared this team. You did, and you suck. Like,
goodness.
Yeah, I just thought it was offensively. I thought it was a disaster.
And you suck.
Damn.
He's the coach of Notre Dame. He loses every year. A couple of games. We lost to Marshall last year, and then we lost to Louisville. So what the fuck, man? This is Notre Dame.
We
had multiple opportunities.
At the coach.
No, not every year. I'm usually with the coach a little bit. I was with Brian Kelly for way too long. No,
yeah, I agree.
I like Marcus Freeman as a person. In fact, I know people that know him personally. He's supposed to be a great guy.
Great guy.
But the thing I have a problem with, the kids picked this guy.
Run the ball.
The kids picked this guy.
Yeah, they did.
The players picked their coach. And last year, it didn't work out. We lost to a couple teams we shouldn't have lost to. And yet, he comes back again, the players coach, and we're freaking losing again. It's like, what? Maybe the inmates shouldn't run the asylum. And you ever think sometimes the coach has to be a dick?
Well, and they had to beat Duke on the last play. Not that Duke's a bad team.
I agree, Kevin. I agree.
Yeah,
but you know what? Like, when you're the coach, you got to be a dick sometimes, or else shit doesn't work right. If you're super popular with all the players, maybe you're not being a good enough coach there, Marcus. Right?
Yeah, in Ohio State they should have won. I mean, ugh. Yeah,
Coaching.
This one was really
Marcus
depressing.
Threw that
Just
game
run
away.
the
Listen,
ball.
I wasn't
run the ball.
I wasn't even mad after Ohio State, but he threw that game away, right? And then against Duke, it shouldn't have been that close, and we barely won only because of heroics. And then we lost against Louisville.
And Ohio State, they should have won.
We lost against Louisville. I agree. So yeah.
Tom, you don't seem bothered by this at all.
No, I mean, I lost freaking $6,000 on my tickets. I mean, it's Marcus Freeman's fault. So
he's going after someone. Got to go after someone.
I could have
take him to small claims.
And I know.
You sue the coach.
All right, let's look. We got to.
Hey, when we have Pete Novak come in, we're going to be. We have one of the things about Pete Novak that you may not be aware of.
Besides being the executive director of NIAR or whatever
they call themselves now, we're going to find out what they call themselves when it gets in here. But he's really good with the economy, really good with finance. Okay, which is great. That's
housing market. Can't wait to talk about.
But that sounds
more importantly,
so fun.
I specifically called him for this show because we're going to be talking about Tupac shooting, the Tupac murder,
and the recent arrest.
And the recent arrest in the Tupac murder, which is why we're talking about it. But one thing that people don't realize about Pete Novak, he's the local Northwest Indiana expert on Tupac Shakur.
All right.
He knows all about it. He is.
This is like real street cred for him.
Dude, I called him up, throwing my theories out, and he pooped all over my
This is going to be so much fun.
He's like, dude, and then he starts telling me his thery, and I said, this is why you need to be on the show.
Yes, it's not going to be about the housing market for long,
No,
Pete.
we're going to talk about the housing market for 30 seconds, and then we're going straight into Tupac.
All right, I love it.
Don't be thinking Novak's coming here to talk about real estate. He'll talk a little bit because that's his job, but we're going to be talking about Tupac and shooting.
Let's do some ads. We're going to come back and talk a little bit more about a little update on immigration or migration. We're going to talk about that, and then we're going to get into Tupac.
Let's go. Tortillas Nueva Leon sets the gold standard in Mexican cuisine across the Midwest. Look for their iconic red and white label at your local grocery store. Indulge in the finest Mexican products crafted with local expertise and savor the taste of authenticity. Discover the flavors of Tortillas Nuevo Leon today.
Tortillas Nuevo León, hechas con amor, para ti y tu familia de todo corazón. Tortillas Nuevo León, hechas con amor, para ti y tu familia, de todo corazón.
The hat came off.
Yep. Okay. Powering America, Lake County. IBEW Local 697 and NECA proudly introduce Powering America Lake County. Powering Indiana, Lake County. With over a century of experience, they've been safely wiring the region. From powering corporations along the lakefront to lighting up homes across the region, Powering Indiana Lake County is your trusted source for electrical professionals. Visit jact697.org. That's JACT697.org to join us as we continue to light the way for Northwest Indiana.
I felt like your dad was like silently grading that read.
I know. As soon as he gave me that feedback immediately, I had like flashbacks to childhood. I was
we had Power America for
We're
a
not
long
supposed
time.
to say that anymore.
Right,
You're right.
Sorry.
Powering Indiana, Lake County. Misprint Printing. Elevate your brand with Misprint, the premier printing and sign solution in Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana with a 30-year legacy of excellence.
Premature.
They're premature. What would we call that? Premature
slappage.
All right. With a 30-year legacy of excellence, their experienced team led by Rick Baltonsberger combines innovation and technology to deliver top-quality signs and printing, always on time and within budget, and metal business cards. Visit them at misprintusa.com to bring your vision to life today. Misprint, your partner for creating impactful visual solutions.
Cantrell and Cantrell, attorneys at law. When you're facing legal challenges or injuries, they're here to guide you through the process. Their dedicated team, including John and Kristen Cantrell, is in court and at the jail every day, ready to fight for your rights. Call John Cantrell at 219-554-4LAW. That's 219-554-4529. Or visit their website at bettercallcantrell.com and discover how they can make a difference in your case.
Thank you to our sponsors, especially our episode sponsor, Rogers Roofing.
All right, so hey, John, you see the second one? It says news report over the weekend of a number of illegal entries.
Yes.
Could you start with that one? Because it's a real good overview of what we're going to talk about for the next few minutes here. It's a continuation of what we talked about last week with Democrats in Democratic cities being targeted by Governor Greg Abbott in Texas, sending illegal entries into the United States, sending these citizens to blue states, Democratic cities in blue states. So this is the sort of overview. It's the one in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah, this is it.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
CBS News can report that more than 9,000 migrants were apprehended at the border just yesterday. The mayor of El Paso says his city is reaching a breaking point, with more than 2,000 migrants arriving per day. A dozen buses of migrants pulled into Chicago over the weekend. America's third largest city is now spending $29 million to set up winterized tent camps for the migrants.
So crazy. So 9,000 come in over the weekend. I mean, just on one day over the weekend.
Can we show that first clip with Mayor Johnson and then
so this is
Governor
Mayor Johnson.
Pritzker?
This is the effect on Illinois and on Chicago.
Buses today. We're getting word that it could be as many as 22. You know, this is a growing crisis, not just for the city of Chicago, but for the entire globe. The population shift that we are experiencing as a result of the failure of federal policies is now impacting the people of Chicago in a very dramatic way.
We know that we're starting to see more and more buses. It is, as everybody should recall, let's not forget why we're seeing those buses. It's because there are these border politicians, the borders of the United States have politicians who want to cause havoc in the rest of the country. You don't see him sending anybody to Idaho. You don't see him sending anybody to South Dakota or Wyoming or Missouri, states that are controlled by the opposite part, by his party. Instead, he's sending them only to blue states.
Which is what we said on the last show.
Yes, we did.
That honestly, the last show was the first time I've ever said anything like that publicly. I never heard it publicly, and then over the weekend, I run into these videos.
Yeah, Governor Pritzker basically saying exactly what you
right, because people were asking him why is Hammond not getting this problem that Chicago's getting. We touch Hammond and Chicago are neighbors, right? The only thing dividing us is the state line, and the reason these buses are going to Chicago and not coming to Hammond is because we're a red state.
Yeah, they're not going to Indianapolis.
Right, they're not going to Indianapolis, even though Indianapolis is a welcoming city, even though Gary is a welcoming city. And, typically welcoming cities are targeted by Greg Abbott and the southern governors, DeSantis included amongst them. But DeSantis because they're blue cities in a red state, they're protected.
From this issue. Yeah.
From this issue.
Yeah.
Well, from a particular group of politicians. I think the whole idea of using real human beings as a political props is kind of disgusting to me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
What is happening, though, is that it seems to me that what Governor Abbott and Governor DeSantis are doing is having an impact.
No doubt about it. I think it's one of the best strategies they could have done, Lindsay. I mean, I agree with what you're saying, Linz. Okay, but
he's not doing this out of the kindness of his heart.
Agreed.
No,
for
he's
sure.
He's not doing this for the better of
but
the
like,
people.
think of if you're
Without
the
a
mayor of
doubt.
El Paso. I'm trying to. I put myself in the situation of the mayor of El Paso.
Pissed.
Let's say I was Tom McDermott and I'm open-minded and I'm married to an immigrant and I'm like open-minded on immigration. My ancestors came from Ireland, so like I'm very open-minded on immigration, doing it the right way. But if I was the mayor of El Paso, think about it. We're pissed off in Chicago because 9,000 people got sent here over the weekend. This guy's got 200,000 coming in during a week
Of a city that's a lot smaller than Chicago.
It's bigger than the migration is bigger than his city. So
And
now
so
you're starting to get an idea on why Biden's saying, "Fuck it, I'm just building this wall that Trump talked about."
Well, I would think. I mean, he's getting pressure from. I'm sure he's getting pressure from blue governors and blue mayors that are saying, "Hey, by the way, you got to do something here." And then New
York governor and New York
go.
mayor. This is a perfect example of what Kevin just talked about. Is New York governor Kathy Hochul, a Democrat, and the New York mayor, is it Ed Adams?
It is
Adams.
Eric Adams.
Ed Adams is Southern Indiana.
Yes,
He's
he
in
is.
Bartholomew.
Posey County.
Posey County. Yeah, Ed. Sorry about that, Ed. Eric Adams. Both Democrats are talking crap about the president on this issue. Let's hear it.
Her 4-year-old daughter and just wants an opportunity to work. Mayor Adams is asking the federal government for expedited work permits and has repeatedly blasted the Biden administration for not doing enough. The White House won't say whether it plans to declare a federal state of emergency over immigration, but does point out it's given New York City more than $100 million in aid.
We take this very seriously.
Across the country, other major cities are also struggling with the influx. Massachusetts governor just declared a state of emergency.
We've been expanding and continuing to look for housing and shelter opportunities, and it's unsustainable.
Federal authorities are also investigating the death of a 3-year-old migrant girl who died while traveling from Texas to Chicago. And I'm here in New York.
All right. Whoa. So, like, to me, this is interesting, right? Because if you are a red state governor, especially like Governor Abbott, who we know doesn't like Biden doesn't like him, how are you going to get attention to this issue? Okay, well, maybe I'm going to send people to blue states and make them push the president. And guess what? Now the president's reacting. And now maybe there's going to be a solution, or at least an attempt to stop the push of people through the southern border. So if you're Greg Abbott, you're like, this is working.
It is working.
I'm going to keep it going. Why not make a crisis somewhere else so they can experience what we're experiencing down here that we're getting ignored?
I am no fan of Greg Abbott.
I am no fan of Greg Abbott.
I think he's a horrible governor.
Yep.
Okay. But what his and DeSantis and the Southern governor strategy is completely working in their favor. They're doing exactly what they wanted to do. They're creating havoc in the Democratic Party. They're creating havoc in blue cities, in red states. And quite frankly, there's people in Chicago.
Blue cities and blue states.
Excuse me, blue cities and blue states. And there's people in Chicago right now that are spouting stuff that they're hearing on Fox News. And this is in a heavily Democratic city. And they're talking like you would think they're from Alabama.
Yeah, and in New York,
you know?
right, absolutely. Like in New York City, I guess there's a rule that if you require housing, the city has to provide it to you. There's an ordinance. Which
Whoa.
is interesting, but whatever.
I've been watching a lot over the weekend. And so in New York right now, they recently came up with this. They bought a hotel in Manhattan, and they're taking all these immigrants, and they're walking them into a hotel, hundreds of them, because it's a huge hotel. And they were like, finally, we got relief for all these immigrants. And they take hundreds of them and walk them right into this hotel. And there's a bunch of American homeless veterans and a bunch of homeless people watching. A bunch of people that broke into our country walk into a hotel and they live in the freaking streets.
Well, and I saw...
Dude, that is insane,
It is insane. It's backwards. It's
You're like,
upside down.
I live here. And you're taking somebody who broke in and putting them in a hotel, and I'm out here in the cold.
And I fought, fought for my country, some
right.
of them. Yeah.
Paid my taxes. And I'm out here in the freaking ditch.
Not good.
Wow.
Not good.
It's a bad look, man.
It sure is. It is a terrible look. And I think it's one of those things where, sometimes in theory... these issues, these positions are good, but then all of a sudden the reality hits you in the face, and you're like, something's got to get done about this. And that's
this country is built on people working hard and people, and like, it wasn't like we're super compassionate now. Like some people may even argue we're over the top compassionate, right? Except for when we're not. Like, we're part of an effort to pound Gaza into oblivion right now, and that's not very compassionate. That's war, right? But like.
or not help Ukraine.
We're more
I don't
compassionate.
Get that. I mean, but
or not help Ukraine, right? But we have a bunch of
not very
people breaking into
compassionate.
our country illegally right now, and we're more compassionate to them, to the Vietnam veterans and the homeless people that have issues, and they're Americans, and they're actually living in a ditch. It's just ass backwards what's going on in this country.
Yeah, I think it's crazy, and I think there needs to be. I mean, at the end of the day, immigration's a big issue. It needs to be not only immigration, but you have the DACA stuff, all that stuff. It needs to be dealt with by Congress, and we don't even have a speaker. By the way,
McCarthy's coming back.
Oh yeah, is he?
Donald Trump. Donald Trump's gonna be the speaker.
I heard that too. By the way, I was wondering, you hear migrant now instead of immigrant. Migrant,
I can't
that
keep
term
up.
is thrown about. John, do you know the difference between migrant and immigrant?
Well, stuff
No.
changes. You don't
It's
get
the
the
same
memo.
thing.
It's like when they start calling homeless people unhoused.
Yes.
Nobody sent me the fucking
Migrant-
memo. Just keep me in the loop. I'll follow the rules. I don't know the rules. I just and then somebody's like, "Oh, you said homeless, you asshole." I'm like, "What?
What
What
did I
do
say?
you call him, right?"
Yeah, I can't remember what I was saying today that I didn't know if you could say anymore.
I love how people are so militant when you don't get
Oh,
these
it
new
was-
terms right. It's
I
like,
know.
how am I supposed to know?
Can you say
And by the way,
transvestite
shut the hell
anymore?
up. Can you?
By the
Or
way,
you supposed
shut
to
the
say-
hell up.
Yeah, we were having this discussion before Dad
And
came
by the
in.
way, fuck off, right?
Don't tell me what I can and can't say. Yeah, can you say transvestite? Is that a thing?
Or are you supposed to say cross-dresser? Or is it like gender?
You can't say
see,
transvestite.
I haven't heard it in a long
so
time.
in the 80s,
Really?
Cross-dresser?
What do you call him, Linz? Linz is.
Okay, so,
Lindsay will know.
when it comes to people who are dressing of another gender that they identify as, it's different than it was back in the 80s and 90s.
But what if
It's
they don't
more of a gender expression? They're changing their pronouns. They're transgender.
But what? No. But what if they're not identifying with that other gender? What if they just like to dress up in women's clothes?
Then they're probably gender fluid.
What?
Yeah.
I just like to say cross-dresser. Or
Okay.
transvestite.
That's
Is that
what we used
bad?
to say.
Yeah. Anyway.
You used
We
to
don't
say
know.
a lot of things we don't
Yeah.
say anymore.
Dad, you did say 3 minutes ago that just keep me updated. I'll follow the rules.
Yep.
And then I'm telling you the rules,
She's
and you're
updating
like,
me. Could you
nah.
write
I
them
don't know
down?
if that's the rule.
Could you
though.
write them down?
I'll write them down.
Put them on the wall. That'd be great. In
but
here.
like transvestite and cross-dressers seem kind of like a slur. It's like a negative
Really?
thing. Yeah.
Shouldn't there be some government authority that keeps us up to date with this? They send
Yeah,
out
it's called your kids.
Cliff Notes. Oh,
who-
really?
Who
It is
are
called your
aware of
kids.
how
It's your
things are
kids.
changing.
Thanks, hon.
And here I am
All
telling
right.
you.
Sorry, John. You're out of luck.
Yeah.
The kids can't
Lindsay will
keep
tell you, though.
I'll
You
tell
got to
you,
rely
don't
on
worry.
Amy. You got to
The
rely on Amy.
youths.
All right, let's go ahead. We got a guest waiting in the hall. Let's go ahead and do
Nice.
some ads. You want to go grab them, Linz?
All right.
Okay.
Well, you start off with our
Calumet
ads.
Brewing, Busch Light, the coldest and smoothest light lager, is calling you to embrace the great outdoors, the roar of NASCARs, and the joy of cracking a cold one. Celebrate life moments with Busch Light, and then head over to Cal Brew on Facebook or Instagram for a chance to win a Busch Light Igloo Cooler. Sweeps are running through September. Visit Busch.com and their social media pages for exciting updates and events. Head for the mountains of Busch Light and enjoy beers and cheers responsibly.
Forgot to update that. Sorry. Pressmer Insurance Agency. Pressmer Insurance Company. For decades, the Ron J. Pressmer Insurance Agency has been your trusted neighbor right on Indianapolis Boulevard, serving all your insurance needs. Their wide range of insurance products and services, including auto, home, business, and life insurance, have helped over 1,000 individuals and businesses throughout Chicagoland and the Midwest. Call Ron or Ronnie today at 219-844-0103. They're here to protect what matters most to you.
Byway Brewing. Byway Brewing, a family-friendly microbrewery, welcomes you to their spacious tap room and outdoor patio. Enjoy award-winning craft beer, a chef-driven menu, and craft draft cocktails. Their unique brewing equipment and production facility provide a perfect backdrop for private events, whether it's a bridal shower, reunion, or corporate party. With their new food truck, they can cater to your corporate and private events off-site. Customer service is our top priority at Byway Brewing. Just off 8094 at the Kennedy Avenue South exit. Discover more at bywaybrewing.beer.
Kuklakis Law. Are you currently navigating complex legal challenges? Unsure of where to turn for guidance? Your search ends here with Kuklakis Law, your trusted partner for legal solutions in Indiana and Illinois. Whether you're seeking expert representation for real estate transactions, need assistance in forming your business, or have experienced a personal injury at work or in a car crash, Kuklakis Law is here for you. No matter the nature of your legal issue, their team is ready to help. Call Kuklakis Law today at 219-671-6347 to schedule your free consultation. Hablamos Español. Thank you to our sponsors, and today again, Rogers Roofing, our title sponsor.
Look who's in the house.
Season 10, Episode 10 on 10 and 10.
About time I got invited back, man.
I know.
Well,
that first
time.
episode didn't go very well.
That's what I'm thinking.
Maybe it's about
I'm like
time to have
approval ratings with the Dubs, man. They're
dude,
like,
we check our stats. You know?
I had to beg to get back on.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Pete Novak, executive director, or what was that title? Executive director?
CEO.
CEO. I'm sorry.
CEO,
Of what is it called now?
Northwest Indiana Realtors Association, NIRA.
I knew you
Took the
changed
G
it.
out.
See,
I heard you guys earlier.
No,
It's a
you know
little
what's
confusing
funny?
for
I was
some.
speaking the other day in front of a number of realtors. That's what I call them.
What do we say?
Realtors.
Do you say doctors or do you say doctors?
Doctors.
Realtors.
Realtors.
Two syllables.
Wow.
I like how you just said that.
Interesting.
I'm gonna
That's
start
I stole
saying
that from one of
realtors.
my members.
I was-
by the
I'm
way.
going
I
to
can't
start
take
saying
credit
that.
for that.
Realtors.
Realtors.
I don't say
Realtors, two
realtor.
syllables.
It's a common problem though when people
It
say
is
realtor.
very much a common.
Is it like a Midwest
It
thing,
is.
or is it everywhere?
So when I was interviewing for my job, I had to interview in front of the board of directors.
no,
and
did
had to
you
give
say
a presentation.
realtor?
Oh, I did many times.
Oh,
So,
no!
And
India
you still
kept
got
me,
hired.
you know,
That's how
India,
good you
right?
were.
She pulled me aside right afterwards. God love her. This is India's personality. And she said, great presentation, but it's real tours. I've never made that mistake again. So,
That's a good way to remember
no,
it.
it's a
Doctors.
perfect way. Right? Yeah.
You say
Yeah.
doctors?
Dude, so
Yeah.
when politicians come in and present to the board
All the time.
they say realtor.
Everyone just says it differently. So I
Well,
don't
you guys should
correct
do
it.
like a nationwide push.
Um,
This is how you say it.
I
Do you
noticed
say
on the
doctor?
Most
commercials-
people don't even understand that realtor is a trademark term by the National Association of Realtors. So if you're not a member, you can't use it. But most people assume that if you're licensed,
Real is
in
that
real
like
estate,
real property?
Realtors.
No, yeah,
Real
no, I mean,
property under the law is land.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
The actual
Real-
term realtor though is a trademark term that cannot be used by anyone.
But
That's
what does
not
it
a
mean?
Member.
It's got to come because real in the law you study real property. I don't know if that has.
I'm
Yeah,
sure.
all it means to us is that you're a member of the National Association of Realtors. Simple as that. And of course, being a member, you follow all the code of ethics and guidelines. and
You're
things
somebody
like
that can
that.
sell
But-
real property, real estate, real.
Yeah,
property. See?
like you could be a real estate agent. That's not a trademark term. Just the actual term realtor is
Gotcha.
a trademark term.
Okay.
There
No,
go the
I'm good.
ratings.
No,
Pete seeing
Don't be
5
saying
seasons.
okay,
How do you say
2026 will be back
doctor?
on.
Say doctor, John. No, no.
Doctor.
Yeah.
Say real.
You don't say doctor.
Realtor.
All right.
I'm
Hey,
just saying.
how's the
how long
market
can we
going?
spend on this?
Like we're not because Novak, in addition to his brilliance in the real estate market and the economy, is also brilliant when it comes to Tupac.
And we're
Shakur.
gonna get right to Tupac in
Been telling you
like
this
2
for like
minutes.
20 years now, man.
I
You
know.
didn't listen to me.
When
You've
I
always
first
been
started listening to
open-minded.
rap, and I listen to rap a lot now, right? He was the guy that got me into it.
I love it.
Yeah.
When I first got out of the Navy, I got out of law school, and Pete and I started hanging out. He was like playing Tupac for me, and I was like, "Who is this?" And then I didn't know. I didn't listen to rap when I was in the Navy or in law school, really. And I started listening to Tupac. This is
So
this guy.
that's a big lead-in for you. So before we get to you and Tupac,
Now I'm a rap connoisseur. I
yeah,
love
you
rap.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we get to your real expertise, the hidden expertise of Pete Novak, real quick, tell us is the housing market getting impacted by mortgage rates? Obviously,
sure,
okay.
for
and
sure it has been. For
what's the
well over
outlook?
a year. We're down on sales. We have been since like the middle of last year, middle of 2022. I think they started interest rates rising them like end of 21.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah,
like the
year
beginning of
change, right.
22.
Yeah.
So we've definitely seen that. But what's weird about it is we have such low inventory. We have had such low inventory. It's not having like the impact that you would traditionally see on the market. It slowed sales. That's the intent. The rising interest rates, which means generally higher mortgage rates, and that's going to slow demand. But the issue is it's sort of a weird one because sellers are not putting their house back on the market. So the same thing that's
Interesting.
cooling demand, which are rising interest rates, are the same thing that's keeping sellers from not wanting to put
Right.
their house up.
Wow.
So I
Because they're
read a
sitting
stat.
at 2%.
I read a stat that said I think 60% of all homeowners or anyone that has a mortgage has a rate that's under 4%.
So why sell it? Because then they have to
Right.
buy
Right.
something with a high.
And
Everybody in here
90%
is
90%
unqualified,
of all homeowners have a rate that's at least 6% and under. And I think the Freddie Mac 30 years like at 7.5 right now. So it has cool demand, that's for sure, but it hasn't. It's also pulled down supply.
And
which
so,
is
Pete,
sort
is
of
the theory
issue.
there that if you're selling, you don't necessarily want to sell because then you have to buy with a mortgage that's
Right.
going to be higher than your
most
current
buyers
land?
are sellers,
Yeah.
and so you could sell high, which is awfully appealing because obviously prices have not dipped yet, and that's the thing where like generally after a sustained time of sales decreasing, you're going to see prices fall, and I do think we're right at that point. Like I think we're going to see that probably over the next 6 months to a year. It has not happened yet. If I look at the year to date here in Northwest Indiana, we're up 2.6% on median selling price, even while sales are down 17%.
Is that because we're
And
down?
that's
interesting.
Because
It's
like
partly the Illinois thing.
you
for
and I were
sure.
talking about this
Yeah.
last night.
because
where
demand.
We like the Airbnb is pulling down real estate markets in like areas like Scottsdale and areas like Orlando and areas like Anaheim. because the parks aren't pulling what they used to, which pulls down Airbnb revenue, which pulls down the value of the home, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say theoretically. I think that's been proven in certain markets, but I think that's specific to certain markets. Like, do I really think it has a substantial impact on housing? I don't personally. Can it have a substantial impact in certain markets, like some of the ones you're describing? For sure.
So if
100%,
if you could describe real quick, could you describe, Pete, whether you think Northwest Indiana is currently a buyer or seller's market?
It's definitely still a seller's market for sure, because again, the limited inventory. There is a total of 15. I give this stat. I've been giving this for a couple of years now, but we haven't always tracked it. But let's say 2014, we first started tracking inventory month to month over yearly, and there was something like 6,000 or 7,000 homes for sale in Northwest Indiana.
2014, so 9 years
2014,
ago.
yeah, almost 10 years ago.
Okay.
That's a 7-county region. That's Lake Porter, LaPorte, Jasper, Newton, Stark, Pulaski counties. If I took those 7 counties, we would have had 6,000 to 7,000 properties for sale in the summer of 2014.
Okay.
We've had there was points in times during the pandemic we had a little bit over 500 homes for sale.
Wow.
So 10% of what's normally on the market right now today, or as of August, let's say, because that was the last time we pulled our numbers, there was 1,500 homes for sale. So you're still talking about 25% of the inventory that is normally in a normal balanced market is on. So that's what buyers have to look at. Very limited. So they're still competing, and most of the time when they're buying a home, they are still competing for it.
Sure. That's good for
but
sellers.
It's changing for sure, though. Like, this isn't going to be this way. I would have never thought it lasted this long. I don't think most people would have. It's bound to, just like everything else, especially in real estate, goes up, goes down.
Normalize, yeah.
We're going to get there soon enough. So
great.
Nice.
Well, thanks, Pete, for that. As the CEO of
Naira.
When did that change?
January, February.
Okay, yeah.
Early this year.
Because I was speaking the other day and I said Naira and I heard people mumbling.
Boo! Did you say realtors?
He did the whole realtors breakfast and everything and still didn't know the name.
I said realtors the whole time. I gotta stop.
Not
saying
anymore.
That. And I'm like, I'm really with you, realtors. I'm a big champion of the realtor.
Sure he is. He can't even say our name.
Right. That's what they're saying. They're mocking me.
The Northwest Indiana
we're
Association of Realtors.
We're used to it.
With politicians especially. Okay, now let's get on to the important stuff.
Sure.
I mean, first off, I appreciate.
First off, did the death of Tupac affect housing markets?
Yes.
Not that I've seen yet, but the numbers haven't come in yet, so we have to wait to see on that one.
All right, so
in 1992.
So exciting.
This is 1992. Is that
96?
96.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson's heavyweight championship fight in Las Vegas,
Yeah.
right out the strip at MGM Grand. Tupac is at this along with his crew, and
Suge Knight.
Suge Knight is with him, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to stop
Had a
talking
Death
now.
Row record,
We followed his car path out. Kevin and I went through.
Get out of here!
Yeah.
I was
saw where he got killed.
Okay, I was just in Vegas a couple of weeks ago. I wanted to go see. I've actually never seen the site where he got shot at. But.
So it's like he leaves. Okay, MGM sits on the strip. They left going towards like the airport. And then they got on a street heading back north, like going back towards Flamingo.
Right.
And so they were running parallel to the strip.
Koval.
Just like
Flamingo
Koval.
and Koval.
Right. And they got up to Flamingo and he stopped there and a car pulled to the right side of the car.
Yeah, I think they were going away from the strip, but you guys may be right.
They were going parallel to the strip.
Okay.
Yeah, they're going to a Club 662 or something like that.
That
Somebody
was
owned
supposed
that.
to be like, I think, Suge Knight's club in Las Vegas. So,
Really?
Yeah.
P. Diddy was there too.
Yeah. All right, so here we go.
That's the debate, right?
So now, so this guy that gets arrested recently was talking about P. Diddy is the one that hired him, and P. Diddy is the one that wanted.
He didn't say specifically. He kind of like, if it wasn't for P. Diddy, we wouldn't be here. And this,
I would have never met that guy.
All right, so Pete, give us your theory.
So first off, this is like the worst kept secret, I think, in America, or at least in hip hop. Like,
I didn't know.
I think for a long time. No, I think right.
I'm
I think
just a
most
54-year-old
people in the mainstream didn't know
guy.
that. But I think if you really were looking at it, or you were a fan of Tupac, like, this isn't surprising news. The gentleman who got arrested was something that for 10 plus years they've known was in the car. He self-admitted that. He wrote a book.
Yeah.
He's talked about it.
He did a proffer with the government.
Yeah.
Which means they couldn't prosecute him on that, right, Kevin?
Well, no,
It's like an
they'd have
agreement.
to offer immunity.
They did. But that's why he hadn't been
I think where he
prosecuted.
got himself in trouble, though, is that was with the LAPD, I think, over the Biggie Smalls murder.
Okay.
And so I think where he got himself in trouble is he misunderstood how that applied, and that
So
he really truly had
confessed to Tupac,
immunity,
too.
and then went to try to profit off what, people are still fascinated.
Is that what it was?
To this day.
Well, look at
over
us. We're talking
the
about
Tupac
it.
So hold
murder,
on.
right?
So he has immunity on the Biggie case, but he implicates himself in Tupac's murder.
So, like, this happens, I think,
And he wasn't
10
immune.
plus years after the Tupac murder. So it wasn't like they knew right away exactly what happened, or maybe they did, but they weren't, like, pursuing him like that. So come to find out, I think his name's Dwayne Davis or Dwayne Keefe D. Davis or something like that.
Yep.
He was, like,
Dwayne Keefe D.
selling
Davis.
other drugs, like major drugs, and they got him caught up in drug trafficking, and they went to him and they basically said, we got you on this. And they kind of, like, convinced him, we got a pretty good case against you. We kind of want to know about this. And I think it was the Biggie Smalls murder. And in that, I think they offered him immunity. And through that, I think came out the testimony that he, was in the car that, and that,
So they gave him immunity on that testimony, but in that proffer that he gave.
Yeah.
But then the question is, he turned it recently.
Yeah, you would know more about this, Kevin, in terms of how that applies. But I think then over time, he ended up sort of doing interviews and stuff like that, where I'm sure he was getting paid and profiting and started admitting to the things I think he thought he was
immune from.
Yeah, immune from.
prosecution,
And come to find out, like, that wasn't the
He
case.
wasn't.
They raided his house and arrested him.
So
Yeah.
Keefe D on a something on the internet was quoted saying he was during an interview, was given less than 2 months before his arrest, says, if I wouldn't have ever met Diddy, I wouldn't have ever been involved in all this bullshit. Keefe D said in August, I would have never met the brother, would have never been involved in all this bullshit. It really crashed two people's empires in one night. Keefe D continued, mine's for sure, Suge's too. Diddy's the only one still balling. He made our shit go down, man.
So here's a theory.
So that's Keefe D talking about.
So what happened, like,
Puff
the
Daddy.
relationship is in context. Suge Knight was a Blood gang member.
Okay.
And Tupac, I don't think was affiliated, although I think some people tried to say, like, at the end he was becoming, like, a gang member. And Tupac was always, like, not a gang member. I mean, never claimed to be a gang member. Suge Knight was always a gang member. If you look at a lot of his pictures, he wears red, which is the colors of the Bloods.
Whoa.
When Bad Boy, Sean Puffy Combs, who runs Bad Boy and CEO or owner of Bad Boy, would come to California, he would hire the Crips for protection. And Dwayne Keefe D. Davis was one of those Crips he would hire for protection. So they had a relationship like that anyway. If you were to ask me, like, did Puffy really offer $1 million for him to kill Tupac? Even if he did, I don't think that's something that's ever going to be proven. Like, he can
Unless
say
somebody
that.
rolls
Maybe
on
he
him.
did, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe in some of their conversations he may have said that or whatever the case may be.
You don't think he put it on a debit card or anything?
No, I don't think it's going to be provable.
Here it is, right
Yeah.
here. This debit card.
So I think what Keefe D is saying is probably somewhat accurate, like, in a sense, had I never met him, I would never be in this, but I don't think it was ever like a murder for hire plot or anything like that.
All right,
where,
so
like,
here's
I'm gonna give you $1
here's the
million
theory,
bucks.
right? So one of the theories is Keefe D and his nephew Orlando Baby D Anderson, both Crips, right, acted alone in Vegas in retaliation for the scuffle outside the Tyson fight that night.
Right. So I think that's what really happened. I think they were already in the adversarial type of situation.
They got in a
Bloods
fight
and
literally
Crips.
like a half hour before that.
Bloods and Crips,
Right.
Opposite ends of two record labels beefing, and one hiring one for security, and the other one
Disrespecting him in public.
Well, and what happened, I think, is this guy that ultimately they say is the one who pulled the trigger and shot Tupac. He stole, like, one of the death row members' chains, like, earlier in the week at, like, a mall, and so they see them here at the MGM fight,
And they bring that up.
and someone tells Tupac, and him being who he is, he goes over there and start to, they jump the guy basically. Over the death row chain, the record label chain. It still wasn't necessarily like a Bloods and Crips thing or whatever, but they were adversarial gang members, obviously. And I think it was just really retaliation for that. I think they got lucky, saw him later that night, or at least knew where to look for him, and he got payback for that, which really, I think, to some extent, happens all the time in America, unfortunately.
And then Biggie Smalls, literally. So when Tupac got shot, within like 7 months, Biggie Smalls was murdered also.
I don't know if it was 7 months. I
checked
know
last
it
night.
was
pretty
7
close.
months.
It was
yeah.
like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
It was literally within a year.
And
What's
he
your
made the
thought about
mistake.
why those two are those two
I
connected?
think that is related, personally. Like, if it's not related, like, in a sense of we want to pay you now to kill Biggie, I think Tupac had such reverence and such a huge fan base, or people that loved him so much. And we'll see if that would be the more shocking murder, I think, to find out who actually murdered Biggie Smalls. To me, I think the Tupac thing is pretty straightforward. I think it's pretty well known. There's a lot of conspiracy theories, but I mean, again, they attacked a guy who's pretty much a known killer. This guy sees him later, and he retaliates. It happens all the time, unfortunately.
This Orlando Baby D Anderson.
Yeah,
And
Orlando
he's dead
Anderson.
now.
Yep, he's dead.
Everybody's dead in this.
Yeah, everyone. There was supposedly 4 people in the car that shot at Tupac. The only one alive is the gentleman that just got arrested.
And Suge Knight, who's in prison.
And Suge Knight, who probably knows who did it. You know, and according to
Probably not a good idea to say anything
No,
while you're
he's-
sitting in prison about, hey, by the way,
I don't think he would
so-and-so.
have said anything anyway. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Wait,
the-
so
The rules of the street.
Keefe D
Was it-
isn't arrested for shooting Tupac.
I think he's an accessory to the murder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
because
kinda
By the way,
Rachel
John always
Anderson
argues with
was-
me. He always tries to tell me that Biggie Smalls is better than Tupac.
I
so
already
we've had
put it in
this
chat.
argument.
Of course, Big Smalls was better than Tupac.
So what about?
I love both of them. By
Yeah,
the way.
they're
I
both
do.
great.
I
Both-
love.
they're
I
both
love
great.
Biggie.
Was Keefe D present for Biggie Smalls' murder too?
No, I mean, not that he admitted. So
Okay.
no.
Okay.
No, and that's why I said I think that one to me it was a retaliation for Tupac. Now whether it was coordinated or someone just acting on their own, I think I'm not sure about. Of
Or it
course,
could
I
be
don't have
retaliation.
Any, yeah,
So
yeah, by acting on their own, I mean in retaliation for what happened to Tupac, and I would love to know. You know,
Let me
if
ask
they
you about
find out
this
that
then.
would
So,
happen to one
you know,
day.
there's this talk. There was also doing my research. Tupac was shot 4 or 5 times in '94 outside of Quad Studios in New York, I think, or Brooklyn, or maybe it was Bronx. And
It was
so
in Manhattan,
I'm sorry,
actually.
Manhattan.
Yeah.
So happened in Quad Studios 2 years earlier. Do you believe that the shooting in Vegas was just another attempt at Tupac, and there was like a hit out on him?
No, and
or,
that's
or were they related? Do you
I'm a
think they
Tu-
related?
I'm a Tupac fan, but there are really some crazy Tupac fans out there, and you cannot convince someone that wasn't like coordinated like by the government or they say all sorts of stuff like the
Both
FBI
shootings or
wanted-
the '94 and
no, well Tupac in general.
Yeah.
I mean it's well known he's a Black Panther. It actually what's crazy about it is that it's pretty documented at this point. Like he was being watched by the federal government or the FBI, and they have lots of records I think that became public records that were released that were showing that. So you have people out there that are convinced like it was a coordinated effort by the Illuminati or the government or somebody to kill
Those
Tupac.
guys.
No, I think Tupac did get shot one time in '94. I think he knows what happened in that one. I think it's pretty well known. That was just another beef he was having with
He was in New
another-
York.
Yeah.
And he was hanging with Biggie.
Yeah, which
I saw my rap show.
yeah,
saw
you
some
did.
rap.
I actually
You
didn't
saw that
see the
movie?
Dear Mama
Yeah, that was good.
documentary on Hulu, which was supposed to be really good
Supposed to be
about
really good.
Tupac. I have not seen that yet. But yeah, I think that one was just another. I believe it's unrelated.
He blamed
but-
Biggie for it though, because
He
was
blamed Biggie not
Right.
for the actual shooting. I think that gets misconstrued all the time. He blames Biggie for not giving him a warning or at least helping him afterwards, since Biggie really was the biggest rapper on the East Coast at that point. He was going to a studio in which he did get shot at the studio where Biggie was at, and he felt like Biggie should have stepped up and given him more help in that situation, and that's what I
like
think.
if I got shot in Kevin's
Right.
office,
Like-
I would expect him
And
to.
Kevin was like, "You're
Dude,
on
I'd
your
be
own,
like,
bro."
"Yo, Kev." Yeah, Kevin's like,
Yeah.
"Dude, I got
I don't know what
I got a
happened.
big case tomorrow."
Am I like the
I'm
Suge
bleeding
Knight
out.
in that scenario?
Dude, I would want you to
Kevin's
like
like,
put some
"I am
pressure
not
on the wounds
involved
and
in
stuff.
this.
Right? Kevin's like, "Dude, this sucks." You're, like,
Yeah,
you're in
I
front
don't
of
know
the
what
dentist's
happened.
office. He's like,
Yeah.
maybe they'll help you. They got
some
medical
violence
supplies.
at dentist. I don't know. So, by the way, one of the guys we know and love is Ren Terry, and he's in the chat
Oh, nice.
significantly about this. And he's like, "Don't be surprised if Keefe D ends up dead in jail before trial."
Really?
Oh, I believe that.
See,
I believe
I
that.
think this is my.
You believe
theory.
that, Pete?
Yeah, because these again, there's such
Guy
Tupac
talks too
is
much.
Agree. How
he
many
is
people love
fanatic.
Tupac?
So there's people in jail that are-
Oh, I think they're gonna kill him just out of
Dude,
like
that's
no
so
one's got to
cra-
tell them.
I'm
to
so
do
glad
that,
you
but,
said that, because
yeah.
I'm like, why is this guy saying this shit? He's gonna get killed.
Yeah.
Either he wants money real bad, but at the same time, he's gonna have everybody.
But
all these
prison's
Tupac
not a good
fans.
spot for him.
Well, I agree. There's
No.
people. That
Ren's
love
right
Tupac.
about that.
They're gonna have
Right?
to keep him in isolation.
I think
or
what
something.
they're trying to
I don't know
do.
how they
This
that.
is my theory, Ren. This is my theory, Pete. I'm no expert like you guys, but what I'm saying is I've seen how cops operate typically in cases like this, and they're trying to get him to roll on somebody. That's what
Like
I
on
think.
what? Like who?
Puff,
like
Diddy.
Puffy.
Puffy.
Oh man,
They're trying to get Keefe D to roll on Puff
That would
P.
be-
Diddy?
because
that-
P
that-
Diddy he's
Puff Daddy.
they're always trying to get the big guy. This Keefe D, fuck, he's gonna they're like, screw this guy. We want who hired you, Keefe D.
It is odd that I don't know, almost 30 years later, that they are pursuing the arrest, and that's why I said, like, I don't know, as a
Because
Tupac
Puff's going
fan,
down.
Well,
what does that mean? To me, it was already known, and then I don't want to say like, what's the point? I guess if he was an accessory to the murder,
Still
that
gotta
should never
arrest him.
be
Yeah.
there shouldn't be a. But it's
No
just like
timeline
such a
on that.
known thing that it does seem like there's something more to it, Tom. I'm not sure.
Oh, you mean
what
like
that
why
is.
out of the blue now?
Yeah, like
So
I
we're
don't
gonna,
know,
we're gonna
he-
be playing this one back.
Yeah.
We're going to be playing this one back. We're going to look like geniuses.
Well, but also,
when Keefe
like,
D gets murdered in jail.
In regards to, like, P. Diddy, wasn't there a case recently where a guy was arrested and was paid to take the fall for P. Diddy and ended up in jail, and he's, like, been talking about the whole situation?
I don't know.
I haven't seen that one, but I wouldn't be surprised.
That's why they're probably delving in to see if, like, P. Diddy had something behind the whole thing and pull it down.
I could tell if the cops thought P. Diddy was involved, like the FBI or something thought P. Diddy was involved, and he's sitting there living the high life, and all these other people are like,
are taking the fall.
That's
for
the kind
it?
of stuff I think the FBI would get involved in. They'd be like, this guy he's unjustly enriched. He hired somebody and killed somebody and made millions off it.
I don't personally think just that there's going to be anything that comes, you know, in terms of like Puffy getting in trouble over.
So you think Keefe D's going down for it?
Yeah, I mean that seems pretty clear at this point. I don't think they would have probably done what they done without having the evidence or feeling.
But if you were Keefe D's lawyer, though, you'd be if you knew that Puffy was involved, wouldn't you be pitching that?
If that really happened,
I'd be
you tell me.
I'd be pitching it
that
anyway.
might be a defense, but again,
John Cantrell would pitch that defense.
Yeah, but I mean, you got Keefe D in the car. I mean,
P. Diddy's, but he got hired. So you like. So I got hired by Sean Puffy Combs. He gave me $1 million cash. I was in the car, sure, but I was hired by.
But
this
I don't
guy.
think it doesn't get rid of your guilt.
Agree, but you might be able to get like
a
mitigate
deal.
the sentence.
Yeah,
and
I just think you would have to prove
higher.
that
after you get
money
convicted.
got paid or there was an exchange
but it's
of money.
a great
or
story,
there was
nonetheless, right? It's
Yeah.
like maybe a benefit.
That's what makes this story so fascinating. There's a lot of possible scenarios.
By the way, what's that, John?
I was just gonna say I miss the one thing's for sure. I miss this era of rap. I think the best rap came out of this era. Now we have Drake
like,
prancing around on stage.
It's kind of like the best NBA was that era too. I mean, like you know,
dude, yes.
So this is a funny story though, because if you watch an NBA game, especially like a Bulls game, even the Michael Jordan, you'll kind of look at it and go, it kind of looks a little like you see this guy over there like not as good. And
yeah.
So I'll play like rap music in the car, and my kids are like. You know, first they're like, "Oh, this is okay," you know, I like it, and then kind of like they start listening to their own stuff, and then finally they're like, "Dad, like the beats are just like too simple," and like, like I'm listening to like '80s hip hop, like and this is their version of that, and so they don't think it's great at all. Personally,
but classic rock versus
Marissa does that all the time. She's like, she'll listen to Van Halen, and she'll be like, "This sucks."
Oh my god,
I'm like,
so
Marissa,
crazy.
Van Halen when it came out, you're like, this is 2023. I get it, right? It sounds different now,
it's
but
still good.
in 1986, this was the shit, man. This is what everybody.
Well, I didn't really
right?
think what my kids thought, but now that they say that and then I listen to it, I'm kind of like,
that was
I kinda see what
technologically
they're
advanced
saying.
at the time.
No, right, but it's not that time anymore, right?
agree,
so they're
agree.
used to what they're used to, and they think like the beats are too simple or like
because they hear Drake now and like stuff like that.
yeah,
and,
it is way more advanced. I mean, it's just the
Do
evolution
not
of
call
anything.
Drake
Yeah.
rap.
Drake
Please.
is amazing.
He's R&B. If you
I love
listen to
Drake.
his last
I agree.
album,
I think he's great.
It's just R&B.
I think it's hard to label a guy like that.
Well,
He's a musician. It's like Justin Timberlake. He's just musician.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think Drake you can classify it into both.
You like
I think
him?
that is what I do like him, and
I
I
love
think
Drake.
he could be R&B or rap both.
Agree.
So I think that
Agree
is
because
what
he
makes
does
him
have some
great.
rap songs, no doubt
Yeah,
about it.
for
But he's
sure.
I'm
awful.
not putting him in the same category as like Tyler the Creator or anything like that.
So like, by the way,
Kendrick
doesn't it make you
Lamar.
all feel better knowing that Kevin and I were up late last night studying Tupac
Yeah.
shooting?
That is awesome.
That's
Pop
what we do.
culture.
That
We-
is awesome.
That's us.
We're like two freaking nerdy 54-year-old.
Well, that's what I love
dudes.
about Tom. You're a little older than me. You don't necessarily come from the '90s hip hop
Right.
era per se, and you've always been very open-minded about.
Dude, you got me
music,
into
so.
it. Like
Yeah.
when we first started hanging out, you would
Dad,
play.
you lived in California during this time. Like,
I agree. I listened to.
I feel
rock.
like you should know.
I agree.
Yeah,
by
but
the
your
way,
childhood was different
Yeah,
music, I
I
think.
agree.
So this was a little bit. I
I
mean,
was heavy
Tupac
metal,
died
right.
when I was a senior in high school,
Yeah, I
or
remember.
just around that time. So that was like my high school, you know,
Right.
That'd be like
upbringing,
David Lee
so-
Roth getting murdered.
Yeah.
I've been like all over it too back
Right.
then, right?
Go Glads.
So,
right, Phil?
by the
Right,
way,
Pete?
now you know why we
yeah.
called in Pete Novak to be
Yeah,
our
that's
Tupac
right.
expert.
Awesome.
isn't
Glad I
it?
could.
I knew
lend my
I made the right
contribution.
call last night when we started talking, and I brought up my theory, and Pete like shit all over it. Like
I
right
love
off.
it.
I'm like, that's why we called.
What
it.
Yep.
was your theory?
I don't know. It was
something that Pete
quickly-
didn't
it was
accept.
He's waiting for
quickly
Puffy
shot.
to go to jail.
If Puffy goes to jail, we all agree I'm a freaking genius.
Fair
right?
enough.
Yes.
Fair.
All right,
Yes,
I call
I will
that shot.
agree with
It's
that.
like Babe Ruth calling the home run in the World Series.
Thanks for coming in, Pete.
No,
Yeah,
thanks
man.
for
It's
having
awesome,
me,
man.
boys.
Did you watch that game last night when Bryce Harper got doubled off in the playoff game?
I saw the highlight.
Oh,
of it, but I didn't
unbelievable.
see it.
Dude, it was
Yeah.
brutal.
Unbelievable.
First off, amazing catch by the Brave center fielder.
And
then-
great comeback, by the way, by the Braves.
Yeah, dude.
I felt like
yeah.
Harper read that wrong though, because off the
I did
bat
too.
it didn't look like it
I
was
did
going to
too.
be
It
like
didn't
gone
look
or
like
Totally.
anything.
I
and
didn't
look
think
like
that was
it.
going to land.
So
I
that
thought
was
the guy
weird.
had a beat on it from the moment he left. I was surprised Harper was so far around second.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't know what he was
Do you
doing.
see
but-
it, John?
Didn't
he got
need to
doubled off
either.
to end the game.
No.
Doubled off to end the playoff game.
I was watching
Bad.
wrestling, so
Thanks, baby. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you
With a
coming in,
fever.
All right.
Peter.
Yep.
You're
We'll
the
do it
best.
again. Thanks,
And
guys.
Naira, the Naira CEO.
and Realtor.
Naira.
Naira Realtors. I
Realtors.
learned a lot of things today.
All
I
right.
learned a lot of things about Tupac,
Toupee.
Toupee.
and Big Mac, and then Tupac and Big Mac.
Oh my God.
I learned a lot about Tupac and Big Mac.
Season 10, episode 10 on 1010.
On Tupac and Big Mac.
Tupac and Big Mac.
Thanks.
That's
Thanks for
deep.
coming in.
All right,
Appreciate you, Peter. And
Thanks, Pete.
Lynn's Notorious LMP. It's great to have you in. Love you,
Thanks.
baby. Jay Vez.
Hey.
Another. What's the title today?
Numerology, man.
Or
All
Tupac
right.
and Big Mac.
Numerology. Tupac and Big. And then Kevin the Compass. Did you know that's his new nickname, Pete? The Compass.
It's not as cool. It's not a rap.
is a great-
It's not a very good rap nickname, though.
You're
You
not-
know these
you-
rap guys
That's
have
your
You
great
don't
nicknames.
strike me as a
Rap
rapper,
nickname?
though.
No,
I'll be
I'm
honest
not.
with you.
I'm not. But
Yeah. You should grow
He could
dreads.
be K Diddy.
yeah.
K
I like that.
Diddy.
I like that.
K Diddy. That is really good. Lindsay's good at nicknames.
She's great.
See, I made my own nickname. It's-
Which,
I think
Notorious
I
LMP?
think I
no,
Can you do
I,
that?
I looked it up. I have proof.
All
I'm
right.
the one
We
who
need the
came
Lock
up
Pond
with
historians to go through that episode.
agree.
But we appreciate you. Season 10, episode 10 on October 10th. It'll never happen again. This is the only time it'll ever happen.
That was a
You just
wrap.
heard it. What's that? Yeah,
You just-
that's a wrap.
You rhymed, man.
We're out on 10-10-10. Lock Pod's out. Love you guys. See you on Friday.